I have a trip coming up, and it's actually got me a little bit genuinely concerned about my fuel capacity. It's a place that has about 120 miles worth of trails, and, well, it's about an hour to the closest gas station. So I'm concerned that I might not have enough gas while I'm out on the trail, or that I might need to fill up. So it's time to bring the jerry can. But there's one problem. I don't have a jerry can mount for my roof rack. So I was looking online. I saw a number of different options. They were all about $100 plus. And when I got to looking at them, I realized, you know what? That's a pretty simple design. I think I can make that on my own. So today I'm going to make a jerry can mount for my roof rack on the Lexus GX. It's probably something that you could use on a lot of different kinds of roof racks. So come along and enjoy the ride as we put this thing together. Here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to use some simple L-bar that I bought from the Home Improvement Center to make a mount. It's going to look basically something like this. It will be a simple square frame that will match the dimensions of my jerry can that I'll show you in just a moment. I'm going to use bolts with nylon nuts to attach the pieces together, and this will mount directly to the roof rack on my GX. It's a simple design, but it should be effective to hold the jerry can firmly to the roof of the car. As you can see, I bought this L-bar from the local Home Improvement Center. It is called Offset Slotted Angle Bar, and you can buy this in different gauges, and you can buy this in different lengths. I bought this in 36 inches of length, and you can see here that we are dealing with a dimension of 2 1/4 inch by 1 1/2 inch. So you can see here it is wider on this dimension than it is on this dimension. Another advantage of this bar is that it is already pre-drilled. That makes it really easy for me to assemble, but it also makes it really easy for me to then attach it to the roof rack. This is the jerry can that I'll be using. It's a standard NATO style jerry can. Nothing special about it, but it is tough, and it does do a good job of sealing in the gasoline. Now, you can store this upright, obviously, but I wanted to lay this down on its side because I didn't want something to be so tall on top of my roof rack. In checking the interwebs, the overwhelming response was that yes, these are designed and safe to be stored on their side. So that's the design I'm going to use today. And as I said, I'll be using the angle bar to serve as my mounting bracket. As you can see, I've laid the slotted angle bar next to the jerry can, and this is how it's going to secure the jerry can within the frame that I'm going to build. You can see here the taller dimension is right here, and that's simply so that it holds the jerry can better in place. We're going to measure the jerry can to understand how large our frame needs to be, and then we'll mark our angle bar, and then we'll get to cutting. All right, our measurements tell us that this dimension needs to be 20 inches and this dimension needs to be 7 inches. I've measured 20 inches out on the angled bar, and now I'm going to use a speed square just to give myself a nice straight line that I can use for cutting. Now that I have my first two dimensions measured out, it's time to start cutting. I'm going to use a grinding wheel. It may not be the best tool, but it's the best tool I have, so that's what I'm going to use to make these cuts. As always, be safe when you're using electrical power tools. Wear eye protection and the appropriate clothing. I have this bar now mounted up to my drill press as a stable platform that will enable me to make my cut here using the grinding wheel. Now, as I mentioned, I do have my safety glasses on. I also have ear protection on. So that you can learn from my mistakes, as I'm looking at these long pieces I've just cut, I noticed that the length doesn't quite match up with the holes that have been pre-drilled. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to affect me when I go to bolt this entire thing up, but I suspect it probably is going to get in the way. If it does, it's not a huge problem. I have a drill press. I can drill out any parts that I need for attaching my bolts. Now I need to measure out my short lengths at the end to 7 inches. All right, you can see here how the frame is starting to come together. I've now cut the pieces and I've loosely assembled them. I haven't bolted them up yet, but just wanted you to get a sense for how this is going to look once it's done. And if I take the jerry can and I set it in here, just like that, you can see it's a pretty much perfect fit. It gives me just a little bit of room for wiggle, but it's going to sit in there very nice very tight, and you can see there the lip of that bracket sits up tall enough that it's not going to let that jerry can move around. Now, the one thing that I like about the angle that is pre-slotted is that I can use the holes in the angle for my strap that I'll use to hold the jerry can down to the mount. As I mentioned earlier on, I didn't think about the fact that cutting the slotted angle might throw off my holes that I'm going to use for the bolts. And you can see right here, I'm planning to put a bolt right through that hole, but this bottom piece is going to be in the way. So I'm going to have to drill that out. Not a problem. I just need to mark it off, throw it on the drill press, and punch a hole. All right, now it's time to assemble the pieces, and I've got these 5/16 hex bolts here. I think they're about 3/4 inch length. And then I'm also going to use these nylon nuts because they really work well in preventing any kind of vibration. I've got everything bolted up. It's looking pretty good. It's very sturdy. And let's go put it on top of the roof rack to see what it looks like. So this is looking really good. I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. As you can see, it sits flat on the roof rack. And as you can also see, the holes in the bar here line up with the mounting holes on my roof rack. So that's going to make it really easy to mount this. I'm not sure what kind of hardware yet I'm going to use, but it needs to be something that's pretty low profile so it doesn't get in the way of the jerry can. All right, I've got this laid up on the roof rack. I'm using these bolts right here. You'll see that they've got this square notch right beneath the head. This is a 1/4 inch 20 thread in 3/4 inch length. You can get this at your local hardware store. The great thing about this is it falls right into this slot and then slides forward. And then I just slide it right up underneath there so that it connects in that slotted angle. And now I'm going to use more nylon nuts to attach that to the roof so that it will resist vibration and resist coming loose. All right, there you have it. That's the final product. You can see that it's been bolted to the roof rack. This thing is not going anywhere. You can see I've got the jerry can in the mount. I'm using a ratchet strap here to keep it secure. It is nice and tight in there. That is not going anywhere. Now, you could use something other than a ratchet strap if you wanted to, certainly, but that's just what I have laying around today for this demonstration. But you can see here that the ratchet strap actually mounts through the holes in the angled bar right here. So very easy to use, very secure. Have no doubt that this is going to be a great secure option for the trail and gives me a little bit of extra fuel while I'm out on the trail. Now, the great thing is if I want to add two, all I have to do is put another one of these together. Took about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half to put this together. Cost about, I don't know, maybe 36 bucks worth of material. And you know, that's it does the job, and that's a lot better than the $125 to $150 that they're asking out on the market. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it sparks some ideas in your head. And if you want, you can look down in the details to see how I put this together, what the measurements were, and I'll give you instructions on how I put it all together, including the hardware that I used. So in the meantime, if you can, please consider clicking that subscribe and notification button. It does really help us out. You can also check out our other videos on YouTube, and you can also go to our website at txgxoverland.com. Until next time, we will see you out on the trails.